Stories and themes that children love, ideas that work on the stage. Children respond to certain themes, ideas, and stories. Fantasy within reality, that is one of the topics. On a school, author is commenting right now. On a school visit, I once asked a group of children why Roald Dahl's book were so popular. A bright 10-year-old put up his hand. Take the witches, he cried. All those extraordinarily happenings, like the boy turning into a mouse, but it's all so plausible. He was right. The extraordinarily springing from the everyday provides a rich vein for children's stories. And ended theatre. Children are intrigued by impossible happenings. They are fascinated by the inexplicable. In Peter Pan, the first children's theatre classic, the story starts with the children of a typical middle class Edwardian family going to bed. Admittedly, fantasy creeps in early on when we discovered that the children's nanny is a Northumberland dog. This apparently mundane familiar routine is interrupted by the arrival of Peter, who flies in through the window. We have all thought how exciting it would be to fly. There is someone who can actually do it, and of course, Peter subsequently teaches the children to fly and carries them off to an exciting sequence of adventures in the Neverland. Fantasy does not mean airy fairy. The reality in a fantasy story can be as gritty as the reality in a biographical study or the story of a child living on the streets in Victorian London or whatever place it is. The story can be rooted in reality or fantasy or a combination of both. More recently, Alan Ahberg's story have worked well on stage. He often starts with a normal situation and then changes the rules. In 10 in a Bed, it's a novel's name. A girl complains to her non-believing parents that her bed is regularly invaded by fairy tales character. We witness the events and therefore have to believe them, even though we know they couldn't really happen. In The Giant's Baby, this is also a novel's name, a fairly normal family is suddenly lumbered by the arrival on their doorsteps of a huge baby, temporarily abandoned by a giant. The idea is immediately appealing, but great skill is applied in continuing the developing the idea. Although I have seen a number of excellent plays of children firmly rooted in reality, I cannot resist for long the use of fantasy, particularly for younger children. Occasionally, the whole play can be a fantasy, yet still rooted in a real world. My play, The Ideal Gnome Expedition, starts off with two rather bored garden grooms. My Wheeler, who pushes a wheelbarrow, and Mr. Fisher, who wields a fishing rod, who are forced to spend their days in the big ones, that is human being backyard, answering a cry for help from the dustbin. They rescue an abandoned clockwork toy duck. They maimed him and longing for adventure. Take him on the expedition over the wall into the concrete jungle of the city beyond. The problems they encounter feature situations and places familiar to children of today. Yet the story is basically fantasy derived. Thank you.